On this episode, we talk about a famous doctor, perspective, and what to do if you're afraid things won't work out. Hey everybody, and welcome to Finish Friday, the show that helps more creative people change more lives. I'm your host, Todd B. from Tennessee, and I created this show because on a scale of 1 to getting the perfect curl before I start recording, creating things is hard, and finishing those things is even harder. All right, first things first, you guys. I will link it down below. Go check out the post I wrote this week called How to Take Other People's Money Without Feeling Guilty. Good headline, right? But it's about artists being able to kind of open themselves up to receiving funds for what we do. And there are so many, it's crazy how many mental hurdles there are for most of us about actually like accepting money for what we do. Like for some reason there's a cultural stigma. It's like, oh, if you get a job and like sign your life away to X amount of hours, you don't have to feel guilty about collecting a paycheck. But somehow like asking for money for art or charging a client a certain amount of dollars sometimes can make us feel really, really crazy. So there's a lot wrapped up in that post. I'll link it down below. Go check it out. One other thing I want to mention before I get started, I still have the tag on this. Kate bought it for me like 6 months ago when I started doing the show. I've been too afraid to touch it. So I'm probably just going to leave it right there this whole episode so I don't break it. But that's enough about me. Let's get into today's topic. Let's talk a little bit about perspective, because I think I have to talk about this event that happened a couple weeks ago that's really kind of got me shaken up. So a little while ago, I went to a friend's wedding. I was a groomsman. Amazing event. Aaron, if you're watching, what's up, man? And we ran into this old friend. You know how weddings are, like you get to see all of these people that you haven't seen in such a long time. And I spot this one guy who I knew back in choir. We used to sing together. And he's coming to me, and I knew the deal. Like I knew what was going on with him. So luckily I had some context, but I'm having a conversation with him and his dad. And he's talking very slowly, and you can tell it takes him a long time to process things. And after a while we're talking, he's like staring at me, giving me a funny look. And he's like, I'm trying to remember your name. I'm like, it's Todd, man. And he explodes with relief. Like he's like, oh, Todd, that's right. He kind of acts like, oh, I should have known that. And I try to give him an out, but he doesn't take it. And I'm like, it's been 5 years, man. There's no worry. And what he responds with is, yeah, and that was before my stroke. And so like this kid, I know he's got to be like 25, max 24 maybe. And the last time I saw him before the other weekend, he was like carrying a biochemistry book. He had a gorgeous girl on one arm. He was smiling and laughing and going around talking to everybody. And you would have known that this kid was destined for success, was destined for greatness. And in East Tennessee, I don't know where you're from, but in East Tennessee, if you know biochemistry and like that's a thing that you're understanding and comprehending and you want to study, that pretty much flags you as the smart guy. He was good looking and he had all the influence in the world. And just like that, he had a brain aneurysm rupture. And his life is never going to be the same. And he can't even operate at that same level. So I want to encourage you today and remind you that your art is important, but it's all about perspective. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in our own stuff and we're self-absorbed trying to get our vision out into the world. And a large part of that, we have to be self-absorbed, but please keep it in perspective. Any of the artistic struggles I talk about on this show, including getting people to give you money, has to be taken with a grain of the whole vision of the world. So this week I want to challenge you. I want to encourage you. Don't get so wrapped up in your own thing that you forget to look at the big picture. This week's question of the week comes from Charmy Ladd, which I think is actually a real name. You can ask a question to the show anytime by commenting down below or sending me an email, todd@toddbryson.com, and just put question in the subject line, I'll try to get you on the show and give you a little shout out over here. Charmy says, "Hi Todd, my number one problem is a lack of focus on my business. I really love what I do, but I have this fear that I won't succeed. Having very little income discourages me from time to time, which fogs up my mind and I can't focus on the task." All right, Charmy, I know that this isn't exactly a question, but it's such a common problem, I think, that I wanted to go ahead and address it up front. First of all, let's take the money off the table. If you are not meeting your basic needs, then that's one thing. If you have a family and kids, then that's one thing. But for the most part, a large amount of us don't have a ton of money. I think it's easy to see other people and assume that they've got all of their expenses covered. But what you're looking at is like 0.001% of the folks in the world that are able to operate without any budget whatsoever. And so let's bring it back and look at what you have, and let's do something with what you have. So that's the money side of it. The second part of it is, why would you be afraid to fail if you could do nothing and achieve the same result? So if it's me, like, this is a switch I had to make in my mind. I was going to be at the same place whether I started and failed or whether I did nothing. So I might as well try. Right? That's the point that I got to. And I think for you specifically, like, I'm reading down through the body of this and I'm reading this question, you lack a little belief in yourself. And so I would encourage you to like get around people who believe in you. Watch this show if you have to. Get whatever motivation and encouragement you need to start believing that you can do it. The other question I ask sometimes when I'm worried that I won't make something is, has someone else already done it? And if so, of course I can do it. And so what that might not look as sexy as you think it should look, but what it is, it's a matter of finding what works and then finding something that doesn't work in your same platform. So use what works, do that as well as you can while minimizing what's not working. And if you do that on a continuous loop, you continue to get better at what it is you do. You have a blog to attract clients. That's awesome. All you need is one client. All you need is one client to get started. All you need is one post that blows up. All you need is one person to come into your funnel, and all of a sudden your world's a different place. And so then you start to build that income, and then you start to build and build and build and build and reach more clients and write more stuff. And then you get other people to write things for you. And so what I would encourage you today, wrapping all of that back up, is to start with where you are and do the small things as well as you possibly can. There is no doubt, my man, that you can do it. I say my man generally, my person, my homie, that you can do it. But it's just a matter of starting with those small things and allowing yourself to be where you are until you get to where you want to be. This week's artist spotlight absolutely has to go on Stephen Moffat and the team over at Doctor Who. I really wanted to download, I was looking for a way so I could get this trailer in the show. You're just gonna have to go watch the link down below. It's been trending this week on YouTube. For the first time ever, Doctor Who is a woman. Now, for those of you not familiar with the show, the way they keep it going is like when they retire a doctor, he kind of regenerates in a new form. So they took kind of the natural cadence of people's career and just wrote it into the show. And so what happens now, for the first time ever, they're going to have a doctor be a woman. And I think that's an incredible move. People are mad about it, of course, but fans of anything will be mad about anything, I think. I think just the nature of the character, you guys who are watching the show will know it's regeneration, so it's open to anything. I am absolutely stunned about the move. If you watch that trailer, watch the trailer. I'm gonna put a little clip in here, and it's an excellent lesson for all of us artists to kind of figure out how people make magic. And so you look at this frame right here, and it's this very specific frame. Everything about this shot is leading you to believe that the doctor is a male. Like all of the things that they do leading it up, it tricks you. It really turns you the other way. And with this, like, you kind of have to feed all this. I learned from everything. And one of the things that this trailer was a reminder of is not only that you should adjust the status quo whenever you can, but you should take every step to fool people and give them a surprise and a delight. And that trailer, especially for you filmmakers in the audience, that trailer is a must watch. And again, I'm gonna link it down below. Episode 28 in the bag. Thank you so much for watching as always. Ask the audience. I ask a question, you leave it down below. And I'm reminded of all the Doctor Who and all the kind of negative backlash that's coming up against this. So my question to you today is, how do you deal with haters? Even if, I don't know if you have a whole lot. I don't know. I don't think I have a whole lot. My strategy is pretty much to just ignore the crap out of them because I don't want to give that thing attention. But I'm curious how you think they should be handled. How do you handle the haters? Again, I'm Todd B from Tennessee. Don't forget to thumbs up this show, and I will talk to you next week.